Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Ask Jimmy Smith. Today, I'm excited to be discussing, well, kind of excited, the top 7 mistakes that I have made in my Amazon business that you should avoid. Now, the very first one that I made early on in my Amazon business journey, we started shopping only clearance deals for probably the first year and a half of our business. So this is mistake number 1, because ultimately, yes, there are clearance deals out there, but it's very difficult to grow your Amazon business if you're constantly looking at deals that are going away soon, right? Now, at that point, you can either hire other employees to help you find more clearance deals, or you can do what we did and start looking for replenishable products that are full price on the shelves at any retail store, any online store, and start building a base of replenishable products for your business. It's actually what I recommend in my book, Side Hustle to Full-Time Income. We went from $0 to $100,000 per month using the strategies in that book. I've seen over 1,000 success stories come out of the content in that book in my course. So I recommend not just looking at clearance deals. While it is nice to find those things, it is not what you should be doing solely if you're doing arbitrage. As you get into Amazon, you get used to how they work, how they operate. You can start building a base of replenishable products that you can go buy over and over again at the store, either retail or online, and continue sending those into Amazon. I have tons of videos on this channel about how to do that. Now, the second mistake that I've made is getting distracted with other opportunities. This is a big one, a big issue for me, and I believe it's a big issue for a lot of online entrepreneurs or anybody that's looking into the side hustle space and culture. We've got a gig economy, and so there's so many different ways to make money right now. And so for me, as I started getting into selling on Amazon, seeing that that was working, I wanted to add more. And instead of doubling down on my business, I wanted to look at merch and private label and wholesale and all these other things that ultimately distracted me from the main business that was working. So no matter what model you decide, whether it is private label, wholesale, arbitrage, or any other side hustle out there, I highly recommend that you do not get distracted by those other things until you have scaled it to where you're no longer needed in that main income generating business, so that you can then take your time and put it into something else because someone is running the day-to-day operations of the other business that's making you money. So that is the second and probably one of the biggest things that took away a lot of money from my own pocket. The third mistake that I've made is not properly researching products. Because I got into Amazon, and if you followed my content for any length of time, you've heard of Keepa.com. It's a software program that helps you to know the history of the products before you purchase them. But ultimately, as new sellers, you get in there and you start looking at Keepa charts, or maybe you don't even know about Keepa until a few weeks or months in, and you start just buying products because you see, oh, this product has a sales rank and it's profitable, so I'm going to buy it and send it in. I'll make a bunch of money. That's not how it works. You need to do some research on these products. And so Keepa is the way to do that. I don't have an affiliate link for Keepa. I do have a guide though on how to learn Keepa. It's 17 pages. If you go to askjimmysmith.com/Keepa guide on my website, completely free. This is what I've used to train thousands of students, what I have used to train my own employees on how to read Keepa. So I highly recommend checking that out. But in addition to not properly researching products, this comes in line with private label as well. There's a huge need to do a lot of research utilizing Helium 10 or some other software programs to research the keywords that are needed, the products that are needed, the things that you can do to change those products so that you can make them better and more desirable for customers. There's so much opportunity that you have to research the product before you purchase something. Now, the opposite of that is true, that you don't want to research products too much to where you just never make a purchasing decision. So be cognizant of that, but ultimately have faith in the decisions that you're making. Be sure that you are taking a look at all of the aspects of the Keepa chart and the Amazon listings before you send those in, or Helium 10 if you're doing private label or wholesale. The fourth mistake that I had for my Amazon business is I waited way too long to get a repricer. I currently recommend people getting a repricer for their products, at least if they're doing arbitrage or wholesale, at the point when they have 100 active SKUs. That is the maximum amount of SKUs that you should wait for until you get one. And so I recommend if you have 100 active SKUs, go find yourself a repricer that can do that for you, because it'll be repricing at the longest every 15 minutes. Some of them are every 4, 5, 6 minutes, depending on how fast they communicate with Amazon. But ultimately, getting a repricer when you have it at a maximum of 100 active SKUs, that is when you should be doing it. Now, if you want to do it earlier, totally on board with that. I do think you should probably wait until you have at least 20 to 25 active SKUs if you're doing arbitrage, just because before that you can manage it. Probably don't want to waste some money on a software that isn't going to return high enough profits to pay for itself. But if you're over the 20 to 25 active SKU point, you can start looking at a repricer Repricer if you won't. I have a whole playlist on repricers and demos for the repricers, my recommendations. I also have a bunch of links below for the 3 main ones that I recommend. If you're looking for discounts or extended free trials, you can see those in the description as well. Now, the 5th mistake that I made in my Amazon business is not getting integrated into a community early. Now, I did go through a course and coaching right out the gate in 2015, and that made a huge difference. We had somebody that we could talk to help our business get off the ground. But I did not get involved in the general, much larger scope of a community as I should have. I should have been out there asking questions, answering questions, networking with people within an online community. And that makes a big difference. One, in your mindset, because you're helping other people, you're seeing other people get success. You're also seeing other people struggling, which can help you know that you're not alone in this. And so that makes a huge difference in the success of a lot of the sellers that I see right now. If you get into a course and you try to go at it alone because it's online, it's behind a screen, you can do it by yourself, it is a much more difficult road than if you can integrate yourself into a community that is there to help you and there to ultimately make sure that everybody succeeds. The one that I have been in for the longest, that I now am a moderator in, it's completely free, is the My Silent Team Facebook group. There's over 70,000 members. You can access that at bit.ly/MST group. That is for My Silent Team group. And you can access that link below as well. Highly recommend getting in there. Again, it's free. Everyone is extremely helpful. It's the most helpful group I have ever been a part of. I love it. I'm glad and so honored to be a moderator in it at this point. And ultimately, that is a place that I will always recommend. The 6th mistake that I had that I recommend avoiding is being scared to share. Now, this applies in a lot of different ways. That applies in the community, where I was just worried about talking about the things that I was doing that was working for me because I didn't want somebody else to take it and the whole opportunity to go to waste. It also applied with employees whenever it was time to hire people. That was something I was fearful of, is that they would then take my whole business and run away with it and they would know all of the information. But ultimately, that is a fear that held me back, and it's a huge mistake, because if I had shared things and learned to grow with other people and I was able to do that earlier, then I would have seen success much earlier, because we could have all shared together. And so it definitely goes with number 5, which is not getting integrated into a community. But it also makes a big difference from an employee and outsourcing standpoint. I know a lot of sellers are too scared to get a virtual assistant, too scared to get somebody to help prep and ship, too scared to do something to grow their business because they're worried that person will take all the knowledge that they've acquired and go do it themselves. And yet I have not seen that be an issue in my own business. I'm sure it happens in some people's businesses, but it is very rare. So being scared of sharing so that you can also hopefully grow is something that will hold you back. Highly, highly recommend being willing to share with other people so that you can grow, and make sure that they are trusted people. If you're hiring someone, that means you trust them to help you with your business. But for the most part, you don't want to be too scared to share that stuff. It's better to help, and then they can help you back, and just always be willing to give more information, as much help as possible, so that everyone can grow together. Now, the 7th and final mistake that I made was going too deep on a product. And I should have said going too deep on products, because it wasn't just one. I even went and did a whole trip around the state of Missouri and picked up specific products that then we had a full warehouse of that we couldn't sell because Amazon changed the dimensions and the fees on that product. And so we were stuck with those products. There are multiple examples of that where I went out and bought hundreds of an item from clearance deals from retail stores and ended up getting stuck with those things. And so I know it can be amazing to find an awesome deal that you want to buy everything of. Be careful that you're not going too deep on that product, because if you do, you can really get saddled with a lot of inventory that you can't sell. We ended up being able to sell those products through Craigslist, actually, for much less than I paid for them, but we still got some money back out of those products. But it's something to be cognizant of. This is why I recommend you really want to be testing small, somewhere between 2 to 10 units typically that you're buying. And then from there, buy a bunch of different products so that you have the risk spread out between a lot of different products. Now, as you see that it's selling regularly, maybe you're using Replen Dashboard or something else to help you manage that inventory, and you see that you need 30 for a month or 60 for a month, it's totally fine to go out there, make the calculated risk to purchase that many of those products. But you just have to be cognizant that you don't want to go out and buy hundreds and hundreds of an item, especially if it's a clearance deal that is clearanced on a lot of other places around the country. That is where you run into risks. So I highly, highly recommend not going too deep on a product and instead taking that inch deep, mile wide approach. So if this is something that helped you, please post some mistakes that you've made in the comments section below so that I can see some other mistakes, so I know I'm not alone. And maybe you'll remind me that I also made those mistakes too. But these are the 7 mistakes that I recommend recommend avoiding in your Amazon business. I hope that this helped you and blessed you. I hope that you have a great rest of your day and a blessed rest of your week.